Welcome, friends,
to the How-To Heretic.
I'm Uncle Mark.
And I'm Uncle Dan.
and I am Uncle Doug.
And this is your user's guide to life on the outside.
That's right. Leaving religion is the first step into a larger, better world.
But it can also be a scary world. Things work differently now.
Never fear, that's why we're here.
We're your audio uncles. And with help from good friends and experts in all sorts of fields,
We're going to share the stories and seek the knowledge to build a great life.
After all, you only get the one that we know of, so you better make the most of it.
oh my gosh, you guys.
Hello.
Oh my gosh.
How are you?
Right. Woo! I don't know if you guys noticed, but I think something happened this week. Everybody seems a little weird. Did something happen?
I think the McRib came back.
Oh, yeah, that'll do
That
it.
is definitely one of the seven seals.
Do you remember being a kid and just being cool, like not really knowing anything about the news, and so stuff like the McRib was kind of a big deal?
Yeah.
That was a time. Or the Shamrock Shake. Remember the Shamrock Shake?
I do.
For
No.
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
I don't know if they still
what
do
a
that.
glorious
Probably had a
time
bunch
it
of
was.
booze in it. Well, here we are. We're at episode 173. They said it couldn't be done. They were only half right.
Yeah.
I think it's a fun show. It kind of
What they
hits all
didn't
the
take
notes.
into account when they said it couldn't be done was that we can do it badly.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I think they just figured that Doug would never hit record, and so it would just go that way. But they're only right half the time. So it's a fun show. I am going to do the farm report.
Yes. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. I am going to talk about one of the lesser gods in the Mormon pantheon.
But one of them,
Yeah, and then I'm going to bring it home because I think we needed to dwell on some of the good news in this last week, and there was some.
Yeah.
if you say so, that is a hell of a haystack to find that needle in. So
Yeah.
but Doug found it, and it's going to be really great. So without any further ado, why don't we just do that?
Let's
Okay.
do it.
Oh, Uncle Doug.
Yes.
You know, the other day I was walking along the beautiful Bonneville Shoreline Trail. I don't know if you've been there.
I have.
But it hovers above our Hogle Zoo here in Salt Lake City. I'm not actually in Salt Lake City, but, there
Yeah.
in Salt Lake City.
You know, when I was a kid, every time I went to the Hogle Zoo, I tried to find the cage where the Hogle was.
Doug was dumb. Doug was an exceptionally dumb kid.
You're not a smart young boy.
Yeah, when we used to play Star Wars, he would always have to be Luke, and then he would demand that his ship went faster than the speed of light. It went the speed of star, and also that it was made out of solid steel.
Oh, yeah.
He was dumb.
That's the best kind.
Yeah,
You can't.
Stupid, dumb 5-year-old.
stupid,
You can't
stupid
shoot
child.
into that. Oh man, I don't know. I just like animals. Someday I'll go back to the zoo. I don't like zoos very much, but anyway, Uncle Mark, you were going to tell us a story about an animal.
Well,
weren't
yeah,
you?
it's funny.
Animal?
It's funny too because I do find that I'm kind of the animal beat here on the show. Like, when I did medieval animal law in episode 46, or the Gathering
Yeah.
Swine in episode 91, or cryptozoology in 108, or even Lilith, the kind of human, kind of demon, kind of owl lady in episode
Bird
56.
lady.
Bird lady. Outer space and the animal kingdom seem to be the assignment desk I've been sat at for some reason. So since I covered the outer's space and the people's places and things that may reside there in the
Yeah.
last two consecutive segments, I guess it's animals again this week. So be it. Now, there's an animal you might have heard atheists refer to offhandedly pretty often that, to my recollection, I've never heard a Christian want to talk about, like, at all. If you're ever listening to, say, The Scathing Atheist or one of the Gamcast episodes, you might hear Eli or Noah refer to a certain donkey. So this is the very short,
Shrek.
See, almost. We're
doing Shrek.
The very short, the very strange, and as far as I can tell, utterly pointless story of Balaam's ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had a nice one, too.
He had such a sweet ass. Well, he took good care of himself.
Yeah.
Now
Went to the gym.
You'll find this peculiar little story in the part of the Bible that, as we've said many times on this show, is where the American Christian heart lurks, that being the older of the Testaments. In the highly gripping and engaging book of Numbers, to be specific, sandwiched in between...
Even the title's exciting.
It's so terrible. Sandwiched in between Leviticus and Deuteronomy. What a great neighborhood, huh, fellas?
That's the good spot. That's the sweet spot right there.
It's a great place to hang out.
Pentateuchal, if you will.
It is Pentateuchal. So the Israelites are done with their wanderings, and now they're on their march to the Promised Land. And when we pick up the story, and despite 40 years of bizarrely pointless homelessness, and which never happened, and the previous book of the Bible being a massive list of what they could not eat, which was damn near everything, see episode 9 for that classic, they are numerous and looking pretty well fed, this posing a threat to Balak, the king of Moab. If you didn't know that sleepy resort town in southern Utah's Red Rock country had a Canaanite king, now you do. So anyway, Balak is all head up about this, and he doesn't think all his horses and all his men can take the Israelites mano a mano.
Yeah.
So naturally, what you do is he consults the famous seer and spellcaster Balaam, who, and I cannot stress this enough, is the son of Beor and Pethor, for no important reason whatsoever. But whatever, he hires him to put a curse on Israel. So...
Did Beor and Pethor meet because their names were similar? Is that how the romance
they met
started?
at a club for people with really shitty names, like a support group. Hagar runs it on Thursdays.
Beor was complaining a lot about their name until they met Peor.
Pethor,
whatever.
So he wants Balaam to put a curse, Balaam, son of Beor and Pethor, to put a curse on Israel. So he sends some goons to go get Balaam and offer him some dosh to curse the mightier Jews for the king. And Balaam is like, yeah, I can probably hook you up with a good curse for that, but tell you what, why don't you guys spend the night, and I'll talk to God, and he'll let me know what we can do, okay? Cool, good night. Great pickup line, by the way. So they stayed, and sometime later that night, Yahweh, Almighty God, omniscient and omnipotent, all-knowing, creator of the universe, slips under the cover of darkness and goes up to Balaam and is like, hey, psst, Balaam, hey, Balaam, you up? Are you still up? And Balaam is like, hey, yeah, you came, that's awesome, so how are you? And then God asks, who are these men with you? Again, all-knowing creator of the universe. And Balaam says that they're King Balak's goons come to buy a curse with which to smite the encroaching Israelites. And God is like, oh, hell no. Those are my people. I chose them. There will be no cursing, young man, for they are blessed. Okay? Good night. So,
suck it.
The next morning, over coffee and croissant, Balaam is like, yeah, so this is awkward, but God says the cursing is a no-go, dog, so take your time, finish your breakfast, but I'm not coming with you. So bummed, the guys go back to King Balak, curseless. Miffed, good King Balak sends even more important goons with more medals and sashes and whatnot to try to impress and cajole the legendary spellcaster Balaam, and told them to tell him the following, this is a direct quote, do not let anything hinder you from coming to me, for I will surely do you great honor, and whatever you say to me I will do. Come, curse this people for me. Isn't that sweet? It's like a note from a dad, right?
Wow.
It's like I could just like the...
It feels like a Trump tweet.
Do you guys know who Korean Dad is? Have you ever seen
Yes.
it on social media? It's just lovely, right? It's just the sweetest,
Just a completely guileless guy.
the nicest man. I like to read that quote in Korean Dad's voice. It's just so sweet. But the good and faithful wizard tells the very important emissaries, although Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not go beyond the command of the Lord my God, to do less or more. You remain here as the others did, so that I may learn what the Lord will say for me. So hang in there, guys. I promised a donkey. There will be a donkey. So that night, Almighty God, once again, spoons up next to Balaam, totally innocent, just sleeping bag to sleeping bag stuff, no skin, and says, if the men come and summon you, go with them, but do only what I tell you to do. So that's a little change in thinking from the other night, but hey, you're the god.
How does this not feel like a setup?
Well,
I feel like he's not making any choices at this point. It's just like everybody's telling him different things to do, and he just has to sort of.
Very often it's the same guy telling him different things to do. So, so this is where it all just starts to fall apart and make no real sense. So Balaam gets up in the morning, puts some coffee on, and saddles his donkey. Yes, the donkey. And tells the guys, God said I could go, so let's do this. The very next line in the story, and I quote, God's anger was kindled because he was going, and the angel of the... And the angel of the Lord took his stand in the road as his adversary. Okay.
That's amazing.
God for sure told him he could go after the other night telling him not to. But then the next sentence is, God is mad that he is going. Is this explained? It is not. So I use the Oxford Annotated Bible or the New Oxford Annotated Bible or the NOAB for short for my Bible stuff because the annotations are pretty good at providing some linguistic and cultural context and some relevant history. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
And even it is like, yeah, that makes no damn sense. So I don't know.
But it says it with a British accent.
It's
so
it's very educated. It sounds expensive. Okay, but that's not even the good part or the bizarre part. So Balaam's sleepover pal, God, creator of the universe, gets mad for no reason and sends an angel to stop Balaam from doing what he told him he could do just hours before. But it's a special angel. You know, they say dogs and cats can tell an earthquake is coming before it does, which is probably bullshit anyway.
Right.
Like they have some weird sense. Well, God sent a sword-bearing angel to stop Balaam that, wait for it, only the donkey could see.
Right.
So
that's what you want.
So good, right? There's no why. It's just a donkey-only angel. The donkey, no doubt broken from a life of being hit by men holding things, tries to avoid this menacing apparition and swerves off into a field. And since the Bible is mostly a story about men who are holding things, hitting other things, Balaam hits the poor donkey with his stick, forcing it back onto the road, where, still menaced by an angel, Balaam inexplicably can't see. The donkey overcorrects and goes over by a wall and gets so close that he causes Balaam to scrape his foot, causing an increasingly angry Balaam, you guessed it, to hit the poor donkey again with his stick. Trying to free himself of these twin menaces, that being one angry man holding a thing in front of him and one angry man holding a thing on top of him, the donkey tries again to press forward, only to find the crafty, selectively visible angel has blocked his path again, this time in a space between two walls with no means of escape. Think Pac-Man, right? So scared and frustrated, the poor donkey just lays down in the road. So Balaam hits the poor thing again.
Yeah.
So in his infinite mercy, the Lord God does the right, most sensible thing to clean up this needless drama he's caused. He reveals the angel. Oh, no, wait, he doesn't. He does the next most sensible thing. He makes the donkey talk.
Yeah.
Yep. Talking donkey will clear this right up. So, the supine beaten member of the non-talking species Equus asinus, that's its real name, bleats out in perfect whatever Balaam spoke, and I will not be doing the Eddie Murphy voice here. He opens its mouth and says, "What have I done to you that you have struck me 3 times?" As if that was as normal as a May Day, Balaam shoots back, "Because you have made a fool of me. I wish I had a sword in my hand. I would kill you right now." And the donkey shoots back, "Am I not your donkey, which you have ridden all your life to this day? Have I been in the habit of treating you this way?" To which a perhaps chastened...
Miss Daisy, I'm trying to take you to the store.
To which a perhaps chastened Balaam simply replies, "No." I mean, this is like watching a couple have a fight in the linen aisle at Target, right? Just an embarrassing marital spat where they both just feel bad and regretful at the end. Because that's the energy the Bible felt it needed right here, I guess.
Oh my God!
But wait, there's more. Now the Lord God decides to make the angel visible. Now he decides to make the angel visible to Balaam, because who knows? And upon seeing,
Well, because he's arguing with the donkey. The first trick he argued with,
and
so he
upon
has to go to
seeing
number 2.
the armed angel with a sword before him, Balaam realizes he has no choice but to secretly practice polygamy and marry teenage girls. Oh, shit, no, sorry. I got some Mormon chocolate on the Canaanite peanut butter there. No, he didn't marry Fanny Alger. He just fell on the ground in worshipful terror. So the angel says, why have you struck your donkey these 3 times? Says the person that is responsible for him doing that. I have come out as an adversary because your way is perverse before me. Also, the way you told me to come last night, that's cool. He continues, the donkey saw me and turned away from me these 3 times. If it had not turned away from me just now, I surely would have killed you and let it live.
Wow.
To which animal abuser and sudden angel seer Balaam meekly replies, I have sinned because I did not know you were standing in the road to oppose me.
which is sort of code for like, you can't just make up rules and then not tell me.
You're the boss, so now therefore, if it is displeasing you, I will return home. Okay, as Dan was saying, how could you have committed the sin of not seeing the angel if the angel was fucking invisible? Is this some moral test, but for the donkey? Like, who incidentally is never mentioned again. So
the talking donkey.
The talking donkey, it's over.
But does it lose the power of talking, or does it go on to have adventures?
We'll never know. It probably goes on to solve crimes all over Palestine.
It goes on and meets up with Fat Camel and the 2 of them.
Yeah.
So Balaam goes on to meet with the king, and they make some altars a few times, and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't fucking matter. Like I said, that is the entirety of the Mr. Ed miracle of the talking donkey and the needlessly invisible angel and the God who can't remember what he said a few hours previously. So when we make movies, if there's some fictional race of beings or whatever, some fantastical stuff, we write, interestingly enough, what's called a Bible. And we call it a Bible. And that's the rules that govern your fictional world as you go about world building. So,
yeah, to keep things internally consistent.
Yeah, exactly. They can do this. They can't do this. They would do this. They wouldn't do this, right? The Bible has a massive problem with its Bible.
Yeah.
Even within the same stories.
They forgot that step.
Even from one line to the next. The rules of the universe change for no discernible reason, right? We talked about this when Doug did his 2-parter on Joshua a couple weeks back. Kill everyone in this city, but it just enslaved the people. In the next one, take all the livestock in this one, but kill all the livestock in this one. Why? It's same here. One day God says, don't go. The next day he says, go ahead, to the exact same request. Then the very next morning he's pissed about Balaam going after he told him he could. So he sent an angel to stop Balaam that only the donkey could see. Then makes the donkey talk, but just for a minute, only to have the angel that was invisible appear to Balaam, who he was just trying to stop to tell him to saddle up and go ahead. Like, this, it's just baffling. And we also talked both about the nativity and the crucifixion story, or Easter, right?
Yeah.
Spread between the Gospels, how they're completely different stories.
Can I propose a solution to this problem?
Tell me.
I think at some point I am going to do, and probably next week, we'll see, I'm going to do a thing about how the Bible, or at least including the fact that the Bible is polytheist in nature.
Well, you've talked about that before, gods. Yeah, and the God of, Yahweh admits to it.
Yeah. So here's the question. Maybe there were different dudes talking to Balaam.
Maybe, that's right. And at night it was one guy, in the morning it was another guy.
It's fucking Loki going to him at night and going, hey, it's cool if you go. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
Just go ahead.
And then Odin appears in the day. He's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Why are you... What? Somebody go down there with a sword, please.
I'm put a stop to this. Let's send that angel down, but don't appear to the man, just to the donkey.
Right, yeah.
That'd
freak him out.
But then do appear to the man.
Right.
It's like either just have the donkey talk or just show the angel. What the fuck? Like,
right.
So
right.
This is part of what our Christian friends want us to believe is the most perfect book. The greatest story ever told, yet the storytelling is a fucking shitty mess that would get a show on Netflix that nobody's ever heard of canceled.
Totally.
What a joke. So
This would get a YouTube series canceled.
it's self-published novella.
Right.
So this story is just one needless narrative disaster in the big book of needless narrative disasters and inverted morality. So that's Balaam's ass,
Hooray.
guys.
You know what's funny about that is we talked about this a couple weeks ago when we talked about Jericho and Jericho being destroyed. I very clearly remember being told the story of Jericho as a child in church, which is, when you think about it, a horrifying, morally repugnant thing where, you know,
It's just
an
a
entire city was killed. For
Yeah.
some reason, a harlot was spared. And we sang a song about the walls of Jericho coming down. I never had this story taught to me when I was a kid, which, you know, this is a great story for a kid to hear. A talking donkey?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. But for some reason, this was too embarrassing, I think, for them to talk about.
And again, you know, there's been plenty of opportunity to edit the Bible, and they've edited plenty of stuff in and out
Right.
that just nobody was ever like, hey, what is this story for?
Yeah. I mean, if they all have to have a reason, this book is in deep trouble.
Well,
I will say this, Uncle Doug. I remember distinctly hearing this story.
Really?
It was a talk given at during a sacrament meeting, and I loved it because A, the speaker was actually kind of a funny guy, but B, he kept saying ass, and I thought that was hilarious.
There you go. That's the utility of Balaam's ass, is you get to say ass in church.
Yep.
All right. Let's write out of here.
Thanks for that, Uncle Mark. Let's move on.
Uncle Mark.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Glad you finally decided to join us.
Yeah. I've been here the whole time.
As longtime listeners of our show will undoubtedly know, the Mormon Church is very progressive when it comes to women.
Almost too progressive.
Yeah.
It's like all of Christianity that way, really.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you and Islam and
Yeah.
Judaism.
It's like
and
Wahhabi sort
yeah.
of progressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is one particular Mormon woman that doesn't get talked about a lot. And I think Uncle Dan is going to break that rule.
Marie
Yeah.
Osmond.
Marie Osmond, the other
That's
Osmond.
right.
Weren't there
No,
a whole
it's-
bunch of the Osmonds?
Oh, there's a
The
whole
other
bunch.
sister. It's Stephanie Osmond.
There was Meryl, and was there Merlin? I don't know.
Probably.
Probably.
I think they're the same as the Bee Gees. Is that true? Am I wrong? I'm not sure.
I once had to kick Jimmy Osmond out of a go-kart.
Man, you're just telling all of our story on that one.
I worked at a
been
little
there.
go-kart place when I was a teenager, and he was behaving very badly. So, and he literally said when I kicked him out, "Do you know who I am?"
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's great. No, please tell me. I want to know who I kicked out of a go-kart. That's amazing.
There you go.
Well, listen, as you guys know, I'm going to start with some real fun here. As you guys know, in the year of our Lord 1995,
Yes.
the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, also known as the Church Too Stupid to Give Themselves a Name that didn't have the word "of" in it twice, released a totally fine, entirely non-controversial document with the not at all overly grand title, "The Family, a Proclamation to the World."
Yep, and everything's been fine since then.
Yeah, it's all been gravy since that moment. I know that you fellas are familiar with this document, but for any of our listeners who haven't heard of it, I don't know. Do I recommend that you look it up? You'll certainly learn plenty about what's going on with the Mormons.
Do you need to be any more mad this week?
Yeah, right, right. But just so that you don't have to read it yourself, this is a very loving, beautiful statement about how families are important or whatever, but what's far more important is that we are like 100% sure that our 90s sensibilities about gays being yucky will totally hold up forever. It literally starts with this, quote, "We, the First Presidency and the Council of the 12 Apostles of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, solemnly proclaim that marriage between a man and a woman is ordained of God, and that the family is central to the Creator's plan for the eternal destiny of His children."
Wait, did you say they solemnly declared that?
Yes, thanks for that solemnity, fellas.
Well, fuck, that's serious.
Yeah. Yeah, don't you hate it when somebody proclaims something in anything but the most grave and somber of tones?
Yeah, there's very few jovial proclamations.
Right?
Not enough, if you ask me.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we wouldn't want you throwing your back out there, fellas. It's just in case you didn't catch the gist of that first paragraph. Here's 6 paragraphs later.
Oh, God.
Quote, "The family is ordained of God. Marriage between man and woman is essential to his eternal plan." They literally just repeated exactly the same thing with slightly different word order. So, pretty important. It's basically the hate so nice they wrote it twice. Now, I don't know. It's obvious here. I don't have to be explicit here that this is basically what this is getting at is that only straight marriages count, right? That's obvious.
If that's what you're getting out of this, fine.
Anyway, lest you think that this is now considered some sort of artifact of a less enlightened time, know that the church has doubled and tripled and quadrupled down on this spite screed, so much that it is now considered a pillar of the faith.
Yeah.
They point to it all the time. It is framed and hung in thousands of Mormon homes all over the world.
Yep, letting those young budding queer kids know exactly how their families feel about them.
100%.
What are the other pillars of Mormonism?
Casserole.
Mayonnaise,
Casserole, BYU football.
sherbet,
And
Jell-O. Anyway, we'll get to those on another show, but all of those are correct. You are right. Look, but hey, this one doesn't just reinforce their homophobia. No, in one single one-pager, they managed to deny the existence of trans and intersex people, shame the childless, hint that abortion is bad, promote toxic ideas of gender roles, and decry divorce. But they're pretty keen on, quote, wholesome recreational activities. So, it all balances out.
They're big on potato sack races, but the queers can get the fuck out.
Yeah, exactly. So the part of this shitbag essay that I want to focus on, however, is this. Quote, "All human beings, male and female, are created in the image of God. Each is a beloved spirit son or daughter of heavenly parents, and as such, each has a divine nature and destiny." Say what?
Yeah, non-Mormon listeners, did you catch something there?
Yeah. That was not just Heavenly Father mentioned there. That said Heavenly Parents. So what is happening? Well, to answer that, we have to go back to one of the things the Mormon Church most prides itself on. They are the family church. It is their biggest selling point, their top pitch. Teenagers on Mormon missions hit it hard. Am I right, Uncle Doug?
Oh, absolutely. Families can be together forever.
That's the big one. How would you like to be with your family for eternity?
Can I tell you?
What they...
No.
When I was a kid, that would send me into literal anxiety spirals.
Yeah.
I would. I would have. My breathing would be affected when they said you're going to spend eternity with your family. So
yeah. But as strange as it may sound to you guys and many of our listeners,
and Doug's met my family.
There are people out there who would actually want this. The idea of eternal life with not just yourself, but your whole damn family.
Gross.
Now, there's another Mormon doctrine that sweetens the deal. And that is that if you play your cards right, meaning you're righteous and upstanding and pay 10% of your gross income
and live a
to the
miserable
church, your
fucking
gross income.
A miserable fucking mortal life.
Right. You could go on to be a god yourself someday. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're a man.
Yes.
Obviously, women can't. That would be ridiculous.
Asterisk, penis required.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, the idea is that as men are, God once was, and as God is, men may become. Now, we may get to the deep quagmires of those theological concepts another time, but today I'm focusing on one little hiccup that Joe Smith didn't really think through when he came up with these ideas. You see, if everybody goes to heaven as a family, and then the men become gods, then doesn't that mean that the women are, at very least, wives to gods?
The women are also there?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Also, asterisk, also included.
Yeah.
And if God was as men are now, does he have a wife? So, this is just the kind of question that Mormon founder and charismatic huckster Joseph Smith loved to spout off about. Old Joe had a habit of boldly diving into subjects that people tossed out to him without really thinking it through, and then having to go back and sort of backfill and build an elaborate theological structure to justify his claims.
Yeah.
Now, there are some possible records of him doing just this towards his death on this issue. There's one report of a grieving woman asking Joseph if she'll recognize her mother as her mother in the afterlife. She had just lost her mom, and she wanted to know if she would know that was her mom when she saw her in the afterlife. Joe's response, apparently, was, quote, "Certainly you will. More than that, you will meet and become acquainted with your eternal mother, the wife of your Father in heaven." Now, that was not published or a well-known interaction at the time, so it didn't become doctrine of any sort. But the notion was out there, sort of swimming around in the Mormon ether. Understandably, the idea was especially keen in women's minds.
Can I just, sorry, Dan, point of order?
Yes.
Mormon ether is called Sprite.
That is true.
Yeah.
What's the Mr.
It's actually
Pibb?
called BYU Sparkle.
BYU,
that
boy,
like-
there's a deep cut.
Yeah.
Boom.
Is that like the Mr. Pibb of the Sprite kind of
is.
soft drink? Okay.
But it gets to be different colors depending on what your wedding theme is.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem. I needed a drink anyway.
Of delicious Sprite.
Of delicious BYU Sparkle.
Yeah.
Anyway, as I was saying, the women were thinking a lot about this notion, and it was clearly on the mind of one Eliza R. Snow. Now, Eliza was a powerful and somewhat subversive character in Mormon history. Or maybe I should call her Eliza R. Snow Smith Young, because she was the 16th concurrent wife of Joseph Smith, and almost immediately after his death, became the 10th concurrent wife of the second prophet of the Mormon Church, Brigham Young. They did wait a very respectful 3 months after Joe's death before tying that knot.
She sounds like a Black Widow.
She's
Maybe she's
a mover and a shaker.
She's
Let's
killing
put
these
it that
guys
way.
off. You know what I mean?
She knows her way around the power structure.
Yes.
Eliza established herself as sort of the poet laureate of Mormondom and wrote many of their hymns. So she was very influential with both of her husbands, apparently able to make her voice heard over the cacophony of all the other wives. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but it does seem like the menfolk were all low-key terrified of her.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, look, I would say that they respected her, but she was a woman, so it doesn't seem really likely.
Yeah,
First time
respect
for everything.
curdles into fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, her hymns and poetry were and still are revered among the Latter-day Saints. One of her most famous is the poem-turned hymn, "O My Father." You guys remember that one?
I don't.
It was written less than a year after Joseph died, and it is beloved to this day. It's no wonder that you guys don't remember it, because it's slow and somber.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure you guys turned off immediately the second it started to play.
Yeah.
But Mormons sing it frequently, and it basically is the tune. The tune is just a riff on the American folk song "Down in the Valley." Da, 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 da. The first verses, which are the only ones that usually get sung, are standard sort of "Wow, God, you're so big and mighty" stuff.
Uh-huh.
But then she snuck these tidbits into the last part of the third verse and the first part of the fourth verse. So here we go. "In the heavens are parents single? No, the thought makes reason stare. Truth is reason, truth eternal, tells me I've a mother there." When I leave this frail existence, when I lay this mortal by, Father, Mother, may I meet you in your royal courts on high.
Huh.
Ta-da! Suddenly the idea of a heavenly mother entered the Mormon literature in their out loud voice. And Eliza being Eliza, it seems that all the men kind of just shrugged and let her have this one.
Huh.
So, boom. Just months after Joseph Smith dies, suddenly Mormons have a heavenly mother. But what's next? So, what does the church do with such a thing? Now, they had a few options. They could, A, start building the theology of Heavenly Mother and crafting the doctrine that surrounds her. B, disavow the concept as unsupported by Scripture and just get rid of it. Or C, look in another direction and hope that it just sort of solves itself.
That would be
Now-
C, the Mormon thing they always do.
Well, there are plenty of actual examples of each of those options being employed. But yes, you're right. They went with C. They threw the hymn into the hymn book and then said almost nothing about it for a long time. In terms of statements from the first presidency of the church, which is comprised of the prophet and his two counselors, and are the only voices that 100% count when it comes to Mormon doctrine, there was one statement in 1909 that referenced a, quote, universal father and mother, and then not much else.
1909?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then not much else until that proclamation of the family in 95.
Huh.
There was a talk given by a guy who was about to become the prophet. That was Gordon Hinckley in 1991. He was specifically addressing the women of the church in the General Relief Society meeting. And I know that Relief Society sounds like a cult, but it's just the women's organization within the church, so it's only part of a cult.
Yeah, it's just part of the cult.
At that meeting, Hinckley addressed a letter supposedly written by a 14-year-old who he identified only as, quote, Virginia. As in, yes, Virginia, there is a Heavenly Mother.
For a second, I thought you said the 14-year-old was identifying as Virginia. I'm like, where is this going?
It was a very complicated time.
This is very interesting. Okay, keep going.
Right. Well, so Virginia, which you should all imagine permanently in scare quotes because she almost certainly didn't exist.
Right.
And this letter was just made up as a device for him to talk about these issues. Anyway, Virginia had noticed that there was no mention of women going to Mormon heaven in the scriptures.
Oh.
Nor did there seem to be any mention of women in the prophecies of Joseph Smith when he described heaven, which, if you have 30-odd wives, maybe your idea of heaven doesn't include women. Who knows? The letter literally contains the question, are men more important than women? Which is a desperately sad question to have hanging in the air so late into the 20th century, but totally valid.
Wow.
Anyway, Hinckley basically answers by saying that women are very important. No, they don't get any of the magic powers or authority that men get in the church.
At age 12.
Right.
Yeah.
But we haven't figured out a way to make babies without women, and we wouldn't have anyone to oppress if we did, so very, very important.
And
just as important as men, if you think about it.
And we haven't figured out how to make casseroles without women.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. He then quoted from a different talk that he gave at a different time in which he addressed an issue that young fake Virginia hadn't asked about at all, but was clearly bubbling among the real women of the church. He said, in part, quote, "It has been said that the prophet Joseph Smith made no correction to what Sister Snow had written, in part because he was dead before she wrote it. Therefore, we have a mother in heaven. Therefore, some assume," he just started two sentences with therefore. I'm just pointing that out. Anyway, therefore, some assume that we may appropriately pray to her. Logic and reason would certainly suggest that if we have a father in heaven, we have a mother in heaven. That doctrine rests well with me. However,
Oh, I cannot wait to see how he sticks this landing.
Yeah.
in light of the instruction we have received from the Lord himself, I regard it as inappropriate for anyone in the church to pray to our mother in heaven.
What year was this?
91.
Wow.
So that's right. Those damned feminists were starting to pray to her, and somebody needed to address it, put a stop to it. Hinckley went on for a while, citing scripture after scripture, which said that you pray to the Father, not the Mother. And that is that, period. Now, there isn't much known about Holy Mommy. She's kind of an enigma.
Yeah.
There's some writing about her, but all the research in the world amounts to these bullet points, which I stole from a BYU article about her. She is a heavenly wife and parent. One person called her our great heavenly mother was the greater molder, as in she helped to mold. She did more in molding us somehow.
Okay.
She was a divine person.
I would imagine.
Super helpful.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
Right. Kind of
Married to
by
God, that's probably a thing.
kind
That
of by
makes-
definition.
Boom. We're really cooking on all four cylinders here. Co-creator with the father, as mothers tend to be.
They
I
do
suppose.
they do the most of the creating, actually.
They do the bulk of the work.
Yeah.
But the father takes the good credit.
He
so
gets
that's good.
50% of it, right?
Right. Involved parent in our mortality, which, and as an example of that, they gave the example of a guy, again probably made up, who this was a woman giving a talk who mentioned this, so obviously stupid. Don't listen to her, but told the story of a man who heard a woman's voice telling him to give up cigarettes. So.
What?
Obviously, that's a mother in heaven talking. A kindly, motherly voice told him to stop smoking, and by gum, he did.
I'm convinced.
Right?
Yeah. It's all the proof I need.
Well, she certainly shares her husband's completely screwed up priorities.
Well,
You
I
know?
mean, smoking's not great.
No, but are there not bigger fish to fry?
Well, not for her anyway. Or maybe she's too busy actually frying fish,
Yeah.
but we'll get to it. And then the final thing that we know about her is that somehow she is our mother in heaven in the hereafter. So,
So
we'll
our
see
real
her.
mothers are just kind of hosts.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You guys can attest to this. Did you ever hear anything about Heavenly Mother? She's part of the the Bible of this she's part of the world of this stupid story since the beginning, basically, of the church. Did you hear word one about her?
No.
I don't
church?
remember. I remember hearing vaguely about it after I'd left the church, but
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not. She is not spoken of in church at all. And if she is, everybody gets uncomfortable and starts shuffling.
Yep. Very much so.
And part of that is because the whole idea has become this notion that we and I've heard this from multiple sources many times. She's too sacred to talk about.
Yeah, that's the cop out I always heard was that.
It's disrespectful.
Yeah.
We have to be so respectful of her that we never mention her. You know how
She's
when
like
you want to be
she's like
super
a gay
respectful
cousin.
of a person, you don't say anything about him ever?
Yeah. She's like a
You know
gay
how
cousin. You
that's-
just don't mention him.
Right. Like the way that they're so respectful of God
Yeah.
by never ever talking about him.
Well, it definitely it smacks of polytheism,
Yeah.
Well,
right?
let's be clear. Mormonism is an exceptionally polytheistic religion.
But they don't
Right.
think it is.
Right.
Right.
They don't think of it as that. But and as a matter of fact, when you say that to them, they're like, no, there's only one God for us.
That's
and
right.
then there's other gods for other people, but our God is our only God.
Yeah.
But no, what about that lady?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have the magic. She doesn't have the priesthood because that's a man thing.
But I do remember that there were, when I was a young boy in the Mormon church, the feminist movement was really rolling. And even though it was verboten and looked down upon by most Mormon women, there were Mormon women who were struggling with being a submissive wife in a world that was opening up opportunities to them.
Right.
And so I remember the idea of Heavenly Mother being kind of used as a cudgel to like, hey, we're not all misogynists here. We have a Heavenly Mother, and she's so sacred we don't talk about her.
She was our black friend.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right.
That's exactly right. I remember that.
I just think, when you ask Mormon, the truth of the matter is that I think if you could talk directly to a Mormon person's subconscious mind, the idea would just be that she's vacuuming heaven. Like the whole,
I
she's
think
doing
you're right,
the dishes.
Dan. Yeah, I think you're right.
So the Mormons believe is the belief, because I know there's just shreds of information about her, right?
Oh yeah, it's almost nothing.
It's almost nothing. It's the Mormon belief that copulation between these two beings was the birth of our spirit selves in the pre-existence. All of us.
Essentially, yes, right, Dan?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
So basically, unless we're talking about an eternity of pre-existence, Heavenly Mother is like the alien queen with a big fucking ovipositor, just slopping ploppy wet eggs onto the floor, and then God comes in like a fucking salmon and just milks all over them. Is that it? Right? How else is it possible?
Either that, or she's the Catholic mother in Monty Python's Secret of Life, just plopping babies all over the place. Yeah. Either way, she's your mother and mine. The woman behind the curtain. Pay no attention to
the woman
her.
behind the veil.
You know what's funny, Dan, is when we talked about garments and we talked about temple ceremonies, we said to our listeners, if you have a Mormon in your life and you want to remain friends with them, it's probably best you don't bring up these particular things. Yeah, garments or temple ceremonies. It'll make them very uncomfortable. They'll be very offended. But this is one that you could. Like, you could actually, to a Mormon friend of yours, say, like, tell me about this Heavenly Mother thing.
Well,
it's
you'll
not
get
doctrinal.
nothing from them. That's the point.
Yeah.
They would know less than Dan was able to find about it.
But they wouldn't be offended. I don't think they'd be mad. Because it's not really sacred or doctrinal.
It's just.
I would be
be
curious.
I don't know how they would respond.
Right
I
into
think
it.
that
Like,
might be
our former Mormons out there, write into us and tell us if you would have been offended, right, about how you would have handled the discussion of Heavenly Mother, because there is a touchiness to it. It is kind of like
I think it's touchy, but I don't think it's like friendship ruining or offensive.
Yeah,
I think they don't.
I think you're allowed to be curious about it.
Right.
They will just not have anything to tell you.
Yeah.
They will just say, "Yep, she's there." The end. Bye.
that's what I know.
So there you go, everybody. Good to know that the Mormons are. They're feminists. They got a woman god.
Yeah.
One for the ladies.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
Thanks, Uncle Dan, and everybody call your mom.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Gentlemen,
Hello. Oh, hello.
listen. We are awesome. The three of us. And this show is amazing. And I don't think that myself. I only know it because other people are super, super sweet to us, and they show us the love by giving us their money. And so we have some folks to thank.
Oh my God, you guys, so many wonderful new patrons. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so let us dive right in. Thanks so much to Chris, to Imaginary Lloyd. That he's real, but he's imaginary.
Yeah.
To Colby, to we need to do some saints for some people. So, Uncle Doug, I need you to grant a patron saint to Diana.
Okay, Diana. Your patron saint is Saint Mauritius Twiddlebottom, the Smelly, of Saskatoon, Canada, which is a lovely place if you don't go there. I'm kidding.
Oh, come on. Don't shit on our Saskatchewan listeners like that.
We have family in Saskatoon.
We do.
And Saint Mauritius is the patron saint of obsolete power adapters, jet airplanes that transport inflammable gases, and all the lesser-known citrus fruits.
Inflammable means the same thing as flammable.
I'm sorry, but flammable means the same thing. I'm pushing my glasses up on the bridge of my nose.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually.
Well, there you go. That's Diana. What a treat you've just received. That's a good one. And I will give a saint to Matt, and Matt's saint is Saint Blorfus of Taroon, and Saint Blorfus is the patron saint of statues wearing people clothes and of anything dragon scaled in texture, and the patron saint of cat towers.
Are there?
There's no theme. It's just random shit.
What sort of statue? Is it clothes that are not made of marble?
No, it's like you put a funny hat on the statue.
Yeah. Well, I think that patron deserves that kind of specificity. Is all I'm asking.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm just asking for accuracy in sainting journalism.
It's like you put a Harry Potter scarf onto a statue, and then suddenly they're part of Gryffindor, and that's pretty funny.
And Abe Lincoln is suddenly whatever those people are.
He's a Patriots fan.
That's it.
There you go. So there's that. But we're not done.
No.
Nay. We're not done. There's 2 people that get heavens.
Oh,
so
amazing. Shite.
Strap in, everybody. Uncle Mark, go.
Well, this comes from our old friend Kate, who I think has been with us from the beginning, and but she's sold enough plasma to be able to kind of, up her game patronage-wise. So everybody take a lesson from Kate. There's gold in those veins of yours.
Yeah.
So, dearest Kate,
sell your car. It's fine.
Yeah, whatever. Sell your kids. Dearest Kate, on a day far from now when you and the girls get methed up and go for one last bank heist, not because you need the money, you just need to feel the rush one last time, and the Swedish Navy finally spots your getaway in the repurposed Colombian cocaine submarine and torpedoes you, and you gently pass from this earth, you will go to a place, maybe a slightly familiar place. It's a place of sunny beaches and crashing waves, gleaming cities set just so on the shining coast, vast deserts and fascinating ancient cultures. It's somehow familiar, but also somehow different. You see, Kate, you've come home. Well, sort of home. It's exactly like the mortal home you knew and loved. It's just that for time and all eternity, you will live in a gorgeous version of your Southern Hemisphere home that isn't actually trying to kill you. You've arrived in safe Australia. That's right, Kate. Unlike your mortal probation, now you can go on walkabout in the bush or just to your garage without fear of being bitten by the choppy brown Wallamalinga or the spotted bottlenecked Hornakatankalanga or the John O'Malley jumping wolf scorpion or the three-nostriled Manipaloo or the reticulated stinging rutabaga or the Canberra stranglebush or the Rampangamanganu gliding fang or the crimson Kramaranga or the Lieutenant McDaniel's swimming spider, or the bill-beaked boomerang bat, or the Queensland dive-bombing crab, or the Great Barrier sheep, or the Palamagoo leaping jellyfish, or the Mornanga Sally boy, or the Murray River millatrizillipede, or the tow truck spider, or the flightless blood eagle, or the scrambling wagga-ragga, or the great white gypsy moth, or the common Irwin stabber, or the lurking crocomile, or the Furiosa darting potato bug, or the Mount Dinga machete worm, or even the Adelaide thrashing koala. All of these classic Australian marsupial murder creatures that get no mention in Ken Ham's bankrupt art park have been reduced to cute and cuddly little creatures as adorable as a baby Hemsworth. You can get up to pee at night without fear of needing a gallon of anti-venom at any moment. And just in time for your arrival, the gods of the southern skies have made a recent upgrade. In addition to removing every stinger and stabber and ovipositor and claw and poison sac and fang, they have just this year made Safe Australia totally fireproof. Your eternal koala friends can munch away lazily without fear of incineration in their fireproof forests. I know you got an uncharacteristically generous heaven, Kate, but for some reason I can't explain, That's the mood me and the gods are in today. So enjoy eternal shrimps on the Barbie and oceans of bad beer in Safe Australia, your own custom heaven from which there is no escape and no respite.
There you go.
That's lovely.
Wow.
I think there already is a Safe Australia. I think they call it New Zealand.
Probably so. I don't think New Zealand is as outright murderous as Australia is naturally.
You know, I learned half of those things that you mentioned in that list, Uncle Mark, in dance class when I was a kid. So,
did you really, including the Mount Dinga machete worm?
That's a fun one. The secret is in the ankles.
And
you got to get your ankles
the
right.
Mornanga Sally boy, more likely. So enjoy that, Kate.
That one I just did it naturally.
I do love the idea of a flying fang, though.
Yeah, it's a gliding fang.
Okay.
You know, it's like it doesn't actually flap; it just has to jump from a tree.
It looks like it flies, but it's really just it's falling with style.
It's just coming at you. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
Well, I now have to give a heaven after that to JK, and JK, you probably deserve something funny and good like what Mark just bestowed on Kate, but you don't get that. You get this. So it's been a hard week. Yeah. But yes, I think we might spot a theme of thought between the two of them. Anyway, so JK, you wake up to a beautiful morning. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping. It's a nice day. You have a lovely breakfast, you do your morning routine, you know, that shit came out like a champion, and prepare to face the day. Everything seems normal, everything seems fine. You grab your stuff, you head out the door, and it's great. Things just feel really, really nice. The pandemic seems to be over. Neighbors are chatting over their picket fence across the street. One turns and waves hello to you. You wave back and head off to work. Everything seems normal, but maybe just a little nicer. As you go through your day, you realize that you don't feel any sense of existential dread. There's no ugly feeling that today will be a battle. There's only the sense that life is pretty darned okay. At work, you have some meetings, and everybody is collaborative and fun. Credit is given where it is deserved. Problems find solutions. Disagreements are resolved respectfully. And it's all very mature and impressive. A coworker asks if you want to go grab lunch, and you say, sure. You head to a favorite spot, and that's when you notice that something is different. That Jehovah's Witness guy that likes to post up on the corner with flyers, he isn't there. Oh, and when did they tear down that Lutheran church down the block? How did they have time to build a library in its place without you knowing? Later, you check the news, and it's all kinds of banal. I mean, some stuff has happened, but nobody's screaming at anybody. Politicians are disagreeing, but they're being oddly civil about it. The president gives a speech, but she doesn't end it with God bless America. You dive into research mode, Googling everything you can think of. What kind of insane Mandela effect is this? Well, here's the thing. You're dead. That's the bad news. The good news is, this is your heaven. It's America. Kind of how you remember it, but as you eventually figure out, there's one difference. It's 1,000% more reasonable. It's impossible to know what came first. Did humans evolve out of their cognitive biases and that's why religion died? Or did people figure out that religion was bunk and that led them to being better at thinking? Either way, your heaven is great. It's just normal life here in America, but so much better. The end.
Oh,
Boy, the two of you are in a mental place right now.
Right?
I think we've freed two continents of their toxins.
Yeah.
Of the main problem.
And breaking with tradition, we both gave people actually pleasant endings.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Pause. I gave a heaven to her last week that was pretty much the worst thing I could have done.
Well, look, as Uncle Mark has said, you sculpt with the clay you have.
That's right. Heaven is a crapshoot. You never know what you never know what you're going to get.
Crapshoot.
It's like marriage. You just don't know what you're getting into.
That's so true.
Heaven is like a box of shit-filled chocolates.
Yeah. All of these people, got this worthy recognition for being the best kind of people, and that's people who give us money. So if any of you out there would like to join the pantheon of beautiful people who do that, you can do so by going to howtoheretic.com, click on the Support Us tab, and then just give till it hurts. Like we always say, that's always good.
And remember, when you do that, you get an extra 20 minutes to half an hour of this bullshit every week.
Yeah.
You get access. You get the keys to the patrons-only backstage pass, green room lounge extravaganza, honeycomb hideout.
No, I don't want Mark to scare anybody off, because you can still be a patron and not listen to the patron content. So
yeah, you don't have to, but it's there for you if you want
it's Schrodinger's patrons-only content.
It's either there or not there.
Right. That's up to you.
And both are available to you. And also, if you can't afford to give to us, because it's a shitty time in the universe and plenty of people can't afford things, Giving Stars is free. You know, go to the Apple Podcasts and give us a review. Go to Facebook, give us 5 stars wherever you can, and that's always a nice thing.
Yeah, and I have a review up if you don't, Dan.
Oh, good. No, I gave up on that.
Yeah, we got some lovely, beautiful. Thank you guys for doing this, for these 5-star reviews. It's very sweet. This comes to us from Tender Operator, which is a great name and something we could all use this week. It says, "Thank you, uncles, 5 stars. The hilarious and ridiculous yet compassionate and insightful topics on this show are a lighthearted voice for the secular community. I listen while I work and during my on-call shifts as an EMT, which, wow. These audio uncles help me maintain my sanity in these difficult times of COVID." How sweet is that?
very sweet.
Yes.
Very kind.
Stay sane, and that's lovely. If you want to hear your review read out on the program, we make no guarantees about that, but write one anyway, and maybe it'll happen.
Yeah, and if you write one and it doesn't get read, send us an email and yell at us, and we'll read it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not. Uncle Mark's in a promising mood, but I'm not. So
I don't know what's
we'll
come
see
over
what
me.
happens.
I'm having this strange positivity today. That needs to stop.
Yeah,
we'll fix that. But let's just move on.
Let's move on. Hey, Uncle Dan.
Hey.
In the course of human events,
I don't like that course.
back in the before time, things weren't always terrible.
What?
Yeah,
I'm not sure that I buy it.
There were days when you didn't want to put your head in the oven, and I know for a lot of listeners they don't remember that. But I'm hoping for days in the future where that is also the case.
Does that mean we can no longer say hindsight is 2020? Because 2020 was such a fucking mess.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's all in hindsight now.
That's true. Well, dear uncles, it has been a hell of a week, yes?
What's
How do you figure?
we nearly lost the Republic, but
We may have lost the Republic.
We still might.
We'll see.
nearly lost the Republic, but then it was lunchtime, so they all had to go.
Yeah, nobody brought orange slices, so... we all thought that 2021 would be the dawn of a new and better day, but if this week is at all emblematic of the year that's to come...
Which it can't be, because then we'll all be blowed up by the end.
Yeah, because then 2021 will be basically 2020 supercharged with 6 pounds of uncut biker crank.
Yeah.
And it's nearly impossible to look at this last week and feel anything but a deep, gaping unease. Especially when our job is to try at least to be funny.
Yeah.
What happened
is that our job? That's rough.
I think I heard that once.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happened in our nation's capital this week and the dark forces that have been unleashed will be the defining struggle of our generation, no doubt about it. Back in episode 102, we took a little tour of the laughably stupid QAnon conspiracy, and what a merry time we had making fun of what was truly the unified field theory of derp.
Yeah.
But like all cancers that go untreated, this last week we saw this malignancy metastasize and spread to the very seat of our democracy. Back in episode 138, we discussed the similarities between the cult of Trump and the myriad other dangerous and deadly cults we have talked about on this show. This last week we saw that cult cross the Rubicon from threatening to downright deadly. It's unspeakable what has happened to us. And Uncle Mark, you summed it up when we were talking on the phone the other day, possibly in the most succinct way.
What I say?
This last Wednesday felt like 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that same sense of darkness, hopelessness, and helplessness that engulfed us.
I had a visceral thing in my stomach. I'm like, when was the last time I felt this fucking
It
weird?
was when the second plane hit the towers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
except that even then, at least we had an enemy.
Yeah.
Now it's us. The
We are
enemy
the
is
enemy.
the call's coming from inside the house.
Enemy's always kind of been us, but
Yeah.
It's hard not to be overwhelmed by that sense when you watch a group of armed, organized, and bloodthirsty fanatics somehow basically just walk unhindered into what we thought was the safest place in the world.
Yeah.
And one of the worst things about this infantile insurrection is that it eclipsed what was and should be one of the most amazing, hopeful, and progressive things to happen in our country in many years. And that's what I want to talk about today. Since we are finally, mercifully, spared the nearly hourly interjection by our soon-to-be indicted president into our lives and psyches via Twitter, let us take that pause to reflect on the incredible fact that Georgia, one of the original 7 states to secede from the Union over slavery, and the last to be readmitted after William Tecumseh Sherman nearly erased it from the map, is now a blue state.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's a blue shade of purple, but yeah.
Not only did it tip and vote for
but
President-elect...
boy, was it red for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not only did it vote for President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, but on Tuesday, Georgia elected Reverend Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff to the United States Senate.
Thanks to us.
Yeah. I mean, Stacey Abrams certainly helped.
We'll talk about her in a
I
second.
guess. You can give her some of the credit, sure.
This election is historic in many ways. Ossoff will be the first millennial elected to the Senate, and the youngest
Is
senator...
he the first?
He's the first millennial to the Senate. To the Senate, yeah.
Wow.
And not the House, but and the youngest senator elected to the Senate since the election of one Joseph R. Biden in 1973.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's
Joe
funny.
Biden was young once?
Joe Biden.
It
I
did
thought he was
happen.
just an eternal.
Yeah, exactly. And Ossoff will be the first Jewish member of the Senate from the Deep South since 1879.
Jesus Christ.
Now, Warnock will be the first African-American senator ever from the state of Georgia.
I know. That's
and the first
insane.
African-American senator ever from a former state of the Confederacy.
Wow.
No,
Let
no,
that
no.
sink
What? Is that
Yeah.
true?
That's true.
Ever.
From
the 11 states or however
Yeah.
many it was. Wow.
This means, of course, that for hundreds of years, tens of millions of African Americans in the South have never been represented fully in the U.S. Senate until now. We often talk about this democracy being hundreds of years old, but for so many of our fellow citizens, this democracy is only decades old, and for many, it still has yet to be a democracy. But let's not let those facts lessen the glorious news out of Georgia. And I'm not in the mood to temper this victory with the fact that 2 of the most onerous and despicable people to ever cast a shadow, Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue, almost won.
Now, they may cast shadows, but have you ever seen them cast a reflection? I don't think so.
Warnock and Ossoff overcame decades of political atrophy, voter suppression, and institutional racism to win, and they fucking won. And that's awesome. The path to victory, like you said, Uncle Mark, was blazed, of course, by the likes of Stacey Abrams, Rebecca DeHart, Deborah Scott, LaTosha Brown, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, and the many, many, mostly women of color who once again saved a country that does not seem to deserve them.
Yeah. And numberless volunteers and people that knocked doors and did what they could during this pandemic. And
Now, not putting us in the same universe as titans like them, but as Uncle Dan, you mentioned, we also, in a limited way, participated in this victory. Along with the boys over at Cognitive Dissonance and our friends at the Gamcast, Opening Arguments, and Scathing Atheist, and others, we helped raise over well over $100,000 for the Georgia runoffs.
almost 140.
Yeah, and you, our dear listeners, came through in spades and donated your hard-earned money during an economic disaster and a pandemic. And if there's one thing we can say about those 2 runoffs, every dollar mattered.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's where I wanna get-
they split that money between them, so it was they got around 70,000 apiece.
Yeah, and that's where I want to get to today. One, that many people who have left religion miss the sense of community and shared purpose that one felt was still on the inside. But here we are, being a community. And 2, I don't want to call it irony because that's not what I think it is, but it's certainly notable that the community of atheists came together to raise money for a Bible-preaching reverend and that we are all happy beyond belief to have helped a lifelong devout Catholic defeat a man who is in all likelihood an atheist to become president of the United States.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, Warnock is a professional religious person. He's not just a religious person. That is his living.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think this speaks to two things. The kind of religious people that Joe Biden and Raphael Warnock are, and the long, strange journey a lot of us have taken from the dawn of the new atheist movement to today. On the latter, Raphael Warnock has been a tireless advocate for the poor, has been arrested for protesting to expand health care, is pro-abortion rights, pro-gay marriage, anti-gun, was endorsed by Planned Parenthood, is loathed by the NRA, and is a senior pastor of the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, preaches from the same pulpit as Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah.
If more religious people were like him, dear uncles, we would have nothing to complain about.
We'd be out of a job.
That's right.
Yeah.
It is funny that we can talk about the good kind of Christian.
Yes. I think it speaks to how our movement...
the social justice Christian, that movement of Christianity, absolutely. Like, we'd still have all our beefs with the Bible and shit, but those are people trying to do more good than harm.
At very least, he's the kind of Christian that actually, sounds like Jesus when he talks.
Right. I think that's exactly right. I mean, we complain on the show often and loudly that the bad parts of the Bible are like landmines waiting to be found by someone. But Jesus Christ was undoubtedly, avowedly anti-wealthy, pro-poor, or pro-helping poor people.
Right. He was white.
Yeah. And Warnock reflects the better angels of the Bible, and that's undoubted, right?
Yeah.
And I do think it speaks to how our movement, if you can call it that, has moved past some of the stridency of the Four Horsemen days to come to this moment. A younger, angrier me might not have been able to see past the fact that Warnock is a preacher. So that's a lot of throat clearing, but it's what I want to discuss with the two of you is how we have built a community out of the ashes and how that community has come to see itself and others in the world. And I'm just put a marker down here real quick that there have always been atheists, and the new atheist movement was far from the beginning of public atheism.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
One of my favorite scriptures in the Bible is, I've said this before, is Psalms 14:1. The fool said in his heart, "There is no God," meaning that even back in biblical times, without podcasts or science or anything, there were people who were still like, I don't know if I can believe this shit.
Right.
But
I like to pair that scripture with the scripture, I think in Matthew, it's somewhere in the New Testament that says, that basically condemns anyone who calls someone a fool.
I think that's right, isn't it? Where you call someone a fool is worthy of hellfire, some garbage like that.
Yeah, or he's had his reward or something like that. Anyway.
There's a tweet for everything.
Yeah, exactly. But, for those who don't know, the new atheist movement kind of came out of the wake of 9/11, which was again, a very, very dark day and certainly brought the very idea of dangerous religious fanaticism to the fore. And in the wake of that, four guys, Christopher Hitchens, Daniel Dennett, Sam Harris, and Richard Dawkins most prominently, became kind of the voice of this. It was called the New Atheist Movement.
Yeah.
And they produced some very good and still very relevant books and materials.
Yeah.
But things have, I for one am very glad that the movement has evolved and morphed and matured since then. But,
some of it has, yes, for sure.
There's still we are not without our problems.
Yeah.
But I think that Hitchens has passed, Dennett, I don't know where he's at, but Harris and Dawkins have not aged well.
I don't think that Dennett has a Twitter feed, which is probably a fucking good thing.
Yeah, let's count our blessings on that front.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about what Dennett's doing, and that's probably good.
He seemed not to be the real firebrand of the group, right?
But in those days when the God Delusion came out and the End of Faith, and these guys were being booked on Fox News, and like for combative interviews with Sean Hannity, atheism wasn't, I wouldn't say au courant, but it certainly kind of had its moment in the public sphere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think the movement was hobbled by a kind of stridency that, in hindsight, I think, I don't want to say I regret it. I'm glad that it seems like a portion of the movement has moved above it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would kind of I would modify a little bit, or I'd just add to the 9/11 moment, because in my opinion that was when the world clapped back at us, right? And that was a moment that'll, a lot of people kind of were shaken into realizing, oh, there's a world out there. We have had an impact on it. And not everybody's super happy about that, right?
Right.
Not justifying any fucking thing that was done on that day, but there is causation, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, and I think what happened with the Four Horsemen is, unlike you guys, I've kind of feel like I've been reflexively atheist since I could kind of think about these things. And it just took me a long time to escape the prison camp I was in,
Right?
And then had a very clumsy. Where do you start? Where do you fucking start as an atheist? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the Four Horsemen hadn't happened yet, or not to my awareness, right? So I definitely became very aware of them after 9/11, and my very angry, strident atheism met with their academic justifications for it, right? In ways that were very confirming for me, and probably hit a lot of my confirmation biases. But I would say that really what was most problematic about them was the inherent white male privilege and the white male privilege of the academy. Right,
The straight white male privilege.
Exactly, straight white Western male privilege of the academy. That is,
Right.
You go back and read some of that stuff, and you're like, ugh, God. And I, like you say, I still think a lot of it is quite valuable, right?
Yeah, sure.
But good people that say and do good things can also turn out to be shitbags later. Or you can also,
Or they can have concurrent shitbaggery, sort of running parallel with their goodness.
Exactly.
But here's what's should be said about that is the truthfulness or falsity of the claims that these guys made in their literature about atheism and the damage that religion can and has done doesn't stand or fall based on them, based on their character. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter if Aristotle never existed, because what his philosophy became isn't dependent on the morality of Aristotle. It stands on its own, and a lot of what these guys wrote stands on its own as far as critique of religion,
falls on its own,
falls on its own.
Yeah,
But Harris. I don't know what happened to Sam Harris, but I still think At the End of Faith is a good read.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and yeah, if you want to give a book to a Christian person who's like, why are you what you are? Maybe not End of Faith because it's a little thicker, but letter to a
Christian
nation is a great primer or primer to sort of where we're at.
Yeah,
just don't let them read anything that he wrote about Muslim people.
Yeah, or women.
Or women. Yeah.
But I mean,
anything after he met Jordan Peterson, you can just sort of write it off.
Yeah, exactly. But here we are. I think when I first was getting into atheism, so to speak, or becoming more aware of my atheism and what I came to think of religion in the world, I was too strident. I think everyone goes on that journey when you join a group or you leave a group. But, Raphael Warnock is a preacher. And the Bible that he preaches from is the one that we make fun of ad nauseum.
Like we just did in the first segment of the show.
He just did in the show.
I know,
but he's
it makes
a
me
good
nauseous.
man fighting for good causes.
Yeah.
And we can make common cause with people like that, and we should.
Well, we don't have a choice.
Right.
And that's part of this too. Like, first of all, on the stridency topic, I've definitely got up on my hind legs on this show before because a topic will make me very angry, or hits really close to home, with my own experience. But I think, I'm 6 years older than Doug, and I think that my incredibly almost toxic stridency about my atheism really made Doug far less comfortable to explore that avenue for himself for a while.
Interesting.
Would you say that, Doug?
Now I have to kind of reprocess my childhood.
No, let's not do
Give me a
that.
second here.
That I know. I kind of know that's part of what was going on. Anyway, but we also, and I still have anger, and I've definitely moved into a more ecumenical space, I suppose, as an atheist. But even if I didn't want to, I have to, right, because that is the world we fucking inherited, and I don't regret supporting Raphael Warnock at all. I think he is an incredibly decent man. He was a great politician, and I think he's going to make Georgia very proud.
Right.
But until the other shoe drops, obviously.
Right. Until we find out he is a communist.
Right.
But if the goal here is to build a more livable society and a saner society and a more equitable society, we don't have a choice.
Right.
Right? We have to work with people with whom, and that's fucking democracy. We have to make deals with people that we may not have 100% of agreement with, right?
Right.
Well, and let's not kid ourselves. It's not like that's the other side of the table is particularly eager to make deals with us either.
Right.
So I think that it is a job that we should all take upon ourselves to reach across the table when we can, to find that common cause. I think a lot of people, people are justifiably angry at religion and at religious people and at people who I get it. Like, if you've heard someone say words that are oppressive to you as a human, you're not going to want to reach out to them.
Yeah.
But reaching out is the only way that we can make the world better.
I think there is a limit to that, Dan. I'm glad you brought that up. I think there are still, obviously, and I want to talk about these, lines that we will not cross and we shouldn't cross.
Right.
Sure.
Right? Like, reaching across to Raphael Warnock ain't no thing, right? We think of the world very similarly. We want it to be a better place, and we think the way to get there we probably agree on up completely. But there's Mike Pence who reads the same Bible, and I wouldn't reach across the table to throw water in his face if he was on fire.
Right.
I don't mean to be like that, but
you and Raphael Warnock are going to agree about 80% of everything in the world. You and Mike Pence are going to agree about 20%.
But if that.
Yeah. No, Jesus does not make gravity, Mike. So I'm not saying my point isn't reaching across the aisle to the sort of people that went to murder AOC in the Capitol the other day. I'm talking about, I think you're talking about, Doug, there are, look, we have listeners to this show that are still in religion, right? Mm-hmm. We have people that listen to this show that love Jesus and believe in his divinity, but they like our show, and they, I love them. Mm-hmm. I do make common cause with them, and that's the world I'm talking about. That I agree. The good guys outnumber the bad guys. I think it's just that we need to stop making bad guys where they don't exist.
That's exactly what I think. I think there are things like, prayer in schools or 10 commandments on federal property that are lines we shouldn't cross or allowed to be crossed. But those are not, we're not fighting a particular religion. We're protecting our civic religion from infection, and we're protecting minority religions from danger.
Yeah.
Right.
So they can free exercise however they see fit.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think, not making enemies where we don't have them is exactly the point. We have so much work to do to repair this country if it can be done.
Well, I'm going to have to say the thing that I think that I know that you guys don't believe, and or that you'll push back on in some ways. But I am going to say this, which is that I think also the way that we as a society progress is to, without saying anything that, about it being okay, that you believe what you believe when it's a belief of oppression of another person or whatever. Without giving any assent to that, what we can still reach out to them, to people with whom we deeply disagree, in the sense of like saying, I understand your belief and your why your God is important to you. We're not trying to stop that. We are trying to make sure that everyone feels comfortable in a secular society. Society is secular. You don't have to be, and there's space for you in this place. And make sure that, like, because I hear the rhetoric of enemy too much when it's really just differing citizen, and this society is literally supposed to be for all of us.
I think you're right, and I do think you're right. And there's nobody said this better than James Baldwin when he said we can disagree and still love each other unless your disagreement is rooted in my oppression and denial of my humanity and right to exist. Right. So I think that a lot of what's happening, and this is a problem with religion, is the people you're talking about, Dan, the fucking QAnon loonies and everything, have a misapprehension about what's going on. They don't understand reality or truth or whatever. And that, that leads to another thing I want to say is that I was thinking about our podcast the other day, and which I don't do very often. And I thought, I don't think you guys can differ. I don't think we're evangelical for atheism. I don't think that's the goal here. I think if you've found our podcast, you've come to some place where you need to make, you've made or you need to make different life choices about religion, etc. So I just think we're here to help catch people after they've already fallen.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
We're not trying to evangelize our position. We're just sort of, trying to make it fun to be here.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's who we are, is we're kind of the welcoming party, I would hope. That's kind of who we are. And if you want more strident content, there's plenty out there to get. And some of those people are really good friends of ours.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's who we are. And it goes back to that misapprehension that a lot of religious or even cultist people have about what we want. We don't want to make this, I would like it to be a saner society, but I don't think that means it has to be a godless society. It just simply has to be secular. So you can believe in QAnon as long as you don't fucking go storm the Capitol and, deny your children medical care because you're using bee pollen or what the fuck ever. Right? Yeah. You can do those things. You can believe in that shit. We just don't want...
Maybe not QAnon. Let's not go too far.
Right. But at least conservative Christianity.
Right.
Right. And we're not trying to erase their place in society. We're just asking if we can have a place to stand as well.
We're not trying to legally erase their place in society. We would gladly erase their place in society sort of from a societal
from a philosophical point of view.
Right.
Yeah, because and that brings up another great point, which is any religions are two things. They are either a set of holy books or truth claims, and they are what people do with that. Those are the two things they are. Those are things that can be critiqued and examined and spoken about.
Yeah.
Right? Just like your favorite book or movie, you can talk about. Somebody put an idea into the world, you can discuss it and decide if it's bad or good, right?
How dare you?
We definitely want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But I think, Doug, the point that you're trying to make with this whole thing, if I'm hearing it correctly, is that stridency for the sake of sort of excluding Christian people doesn't help anything.
No. And I that is, part of the larger point I'm trying to make is I think this movement, when it first kind of burst onto the scene, there was a lot of anger, and there still is. You're right, Mark. On YouTube, there's still some vile and nasty stuff, and there's
they're terrible fucking public atheists. Like,
absolutely
despicable people.
Being an atheist doesn't make you moral. It's just very important that we say that. And like I said, I think Donald Trump is probably an atheist.
Yeah.
But, clearly don't want to count myself in any league with him.
He's an accidental
does it
atheist.
count? I don't think you can be an atheist if you think you yourself are God. But that's
Exactly.
quibbling.
But
Atheist by default.
Right.
I think it's important for our community that we are building, and I think there's also an important point is that we are building a community of atheists, that we treat people as we want to be treated. We employ the golden rule.
Yeah.
And people like Raphael Warnock, who is an incredibly intelligent person. I don't love the book he reads, but other than that, he's a hero. He's an amazing person. Yeah. And we need to live in a world where we can hold those two thoughts in our heads as atheists and be okay with it.
Yeah, and what you're talking about here is the problem of purity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Is what happens this is what happens to movements when they continually demand further and further purity, is they become the worst versions of themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Because not everybody's a zealot. So if you
we got another Gen Xer talking about cancel culture again.
so if you get rid of, everybody who's not a zealot, then you end up with just zealots.
Yeah.
Right? You have no moderating forces, you have no different voices. And it's a very undemocratic space. And so I think that is I hope I'm building on the message you're trying to get out there, Doug.
I think so. And I think, maybe we've kind of gotten through it. But yeah, I did think it was an interesting thing that we were unabashedly, unreservedly raising money for a Christian pastor in Georgia.
Yeah. Well, we didn't get around to talking about Ossoff, who is a Jew and cannot be trusted.
That's right. I think that was left unsaid.
Yeah. Who needs to say it out loud? It's not our culture and heritage.
Oh, my God.
And let me just leave. Again, this has been a shit fucking week. Epic bad week. But we can't lose sight of what happened in Georgia because it was truly, truly good news. And
I know.
We should be happy about that.
That it happened late on Tuesday and fucking Wednesday happened. Jesus.
Wednesday said, hold my beer.
Vanilla Wednesday.
All right. Well, congratulations to all of us for electing them, and thanks, Uncle Doug. And let's just move on, shall we?
Yeah.
Well, friends, that is it for this week's show.
Hey, we'd love to hear from you. If you are optimistic about any part of society, please send us an email, howto@howtoheretic.com.
Or if you are our very cold and distant mother that somehow gave birth to probably, 15, 20 billion people, you should tell us about that. Leave us a voicemail at 903-88-HOW-TO, which is 903-884-6986. Heavenly Mother, you can also at me on Twitter, at HowToHeretic.
And as always, thanks to our ever-increasing gaggle of patrons.
And thanks to Cody Layton, who is our invisible angel with a sword, for editing the show.
And thanks to all of you friends for tuning in.
Bye, friends.